This place is such a dump. I can't believe you're making me eat here. 13-year-old Sophia Whitmore wrinkled her nose as she surveyed the small Italian restaurant tucked away on a quiet street in Manhattan. Unlike the trendy spots her friends posted about on Instagram, this place had maybe 15 tables, dim lighting, and walls covered with faded photographs of Italy. Her father, David Whitmore, didn't look up from the menu. Sometimes the best food comes from the most unexpected places. Sophia, try to have an open mind. Whatever. I'm just ordering pasta. Even this place can't mess up pasta. An older man approached their table, probably in his 60s, with kind eyes and weathered hands. He wore a simple white shirt and black apron, carrying himself with quiet dignity, despite his humble uniform. Good evening. Welcome to Lucia's. My name is Giuseppe, and I'll be taking care of you tonight. Sophia barely glanced at him. We need more time to decide. Of course, signorina. Take all the time you need. As Giuseppe walked away, Sophia turned to her father. Can you believe they have old people working as waiters? This place must be desperate. David Whitmore's jaw tightened. Sophia, that's incredibly rude. I'm just saying. And did you see his hands? They were all rough and gross. I hope he doesn't touch my food. That's enough. But Sophia wasn't done. When Giuseppe returned to take their order, she made a point of using hand sanitizer before touching the menu, making her disgust obvious. I'll have the spaghetti carbonara, but I want it made properly, not some American version. Can your kitchen even do that? Giuseppe's expression remained pleasant. Our chef is from Rome. I can assure you the carbonara will be authentic. We'll see about that. And I want extra Parmesan cheese. The real stuff. Not that powdered garbage. Of course. And for you, sir? David ordered quietly, embarrassed by his daughter's behavior. As Giuseppe walked away, Sophia pulled out her phone and took a photo of the restaurant. This is going to be hilarious. My friends won't believe I had to eat at such a trashy place. What Sophia didn't know was that Giuseppe wasn't just any waiter. He was Giuseppe Russo, holder of 3 Michelin stars, one of the most celebrated chefs in the world. 20 years ago, he'd run the most exclusive restaurant in Rome, where reservations were booked 2 years in advance and celebrities flew in from around the globe. Then his daughter Lucia had been diagnosed with leukemia. Giuseppe had sold his restaurant, moved to New York for treatment options, and spent his fortune trying to save her. She'd survived, thanks to experimental treatments, but Giuseppe had lost everything in the process. This small restaurant was named for her, a labor of love he'd opened with his last resources. He worked every position, chef, waiter, dishwasher, because he couldn't afford much staff, and every dish that left his kitchen was prepared with the same precision and passion that had earned him those 3 Michelin stars. He was about to give Sophia Whitmore an education in humility she'd never forget. In the kitchen, Giuseppe prepared Sophia's carbonara himself. Fresh eggs from a local farm, guanciale he'd cured himself, imported pecorino romano aged exactly as tradition demanded. Each movement was precise, decades of mastery in every gesture. When he brought the dish to the table, Sophia barely looked at it. Took you long. Enough. My apologies for the wait, signorina. I hope you find it satisfactory. She took one bite and immediately made a face. This tastes weird. Are you sure this is real carbonara? Giuseppe's expression didn't change. I am quite certain. That is carbonara, as it has been made in Rome for generations. Well, I've had Italian food before, and it doesn't taste like this. This is too, I don't know, eggy or something. That is because authentic carbonara uses raw eggs that cook from the heat of the pasta. It is the traditional method. Sophia pushed the plate away. I don't care what's traditional. I don't like it. Bring me something else. Sophia, her father snapped. That's extremely rude. Apologize. Why should I apologize? I'm the customer. If I don't like it, they should fix it. David Whitmore looked at Giuseppe with genuine apology in his eyes. I'm so sorry. The carbonara is excellent. She's just spoiled? Yeah, everyone knows that, Dad. Giuseppe nodded calmly. It is quite all right, signore. Not everyone appreciates traditional methods. Perhaps the young lady would prefer something simpler. May I suggest the spaghetti pomodoro? Fine, whatever. Just make it fast. And this time, don't mess it up. As Giuseppe returned to the kitchen, Sophia continued her complaints, loud enough for other diners to hear. I can't believe places like this still exist. They should just close down if they can't keep up with modern restaurants. An older couple at the next table exchanged glances. The woman leaned over. Excuse me, dear, but you might want to show a little more respect. This restaurant is very special. Sophia rolled her eyes. Special? It's a dump. It's owned by one of the greatest chefs in the world, the woman said quietly. People who know food travel from all over to eat here. Right. Sure they do. When Giuseppe brought the pomodoro, Sofia took one bite and declared it too acidic. Then she demanded to speak to the manager. I am the manager, Signorina, and the owner. And tonight, also the chef. You're the chef? Oh my God, no wonder the food is terrible. You should hire someone who actually knows what they're doing. The restaurant had gone silent. Every diner was watching now, some with phones out, recording. Giuseppe remained calm, but something had shifted in his demeanor. Tell me, Signorina, what experience do you have with Italian cuisine? I've eaten at Gianni's like 100 times. They have amazing Italian food. Gianni's. Giuseppe said the name like he was tasting something sour. The chain restaurant in the shopping mall? It's not a chain. Well, okay, it is, but they have really good breadsticks. A man at a corner table started laughing. Then another joined in. Soon, the entire restaurant was filled with the sound of people who understood the absurdity of what they were witnessing. Giuseppe pulled out a chair and sat down at Sofia's table, an action so unexpected that even David Whitmore looked surprised. Signorina, I am going to tell you a story. 20 years ago, I owned Ristorante Russo in Rome. Perhaps you have heard of it? Sofia shook her head, but her father's eyes went wide. Wait, Giuseppe Russo? The Giuseppe Russo? Si, signor. 3 Michelin stars. Voted best restaurant in Europe 2 years running. I had everything a chef could want. Fame, fortune, respect. He looked at his weathered hands, the same hands Sofia had called gross earlier. Then my daughter got sick. Very sick. I sold everything to pay for her treatment. Moved here where the doctors were better, and I opened this small place because cooking is what I know. It is what I love. Sofia's face had gone pale. Other diners were nodding, several recording this moment. Every dish I serve here I make with the same care I gave to celebrities and presidents. These hands you find disgusting? They have cooked for 3 popes, for royalty, for the greatest food critics in the world, and they have received more praise than you can imagine. He stood up slowly. But you, Signorina, you come to my restaurant, insult my food, mock my appearance, and tell me I do not know how to cook. You, who thinks Gianni's breadsticks represent Italian cuisine. The laughter had stopped. Now there was only silence and the sound of Sofia's rapid breathing. David Whitmore had his head in his hands. Sofia, do you understand what you've done? Giuseppe Russo is a legend. People save for years to eat his food. I didn't know. You didn't care to know, Giuseppe said quietly. You saw an old man in an apron and decided he was beneath you. You judged my restaurant by its simple appearance and assumed it had nothing of value. A woman from another table stood up. Mr. Russo, my husband and I flew in from California just to eat here. We've been saving for this meal for 2 years. Your food tonight was transcendent. Please don't let this child's ignorance diminish that. Others chimed in, with similar sentiments. One man revealed he was a food critic from the New York Times. Another was a chef from a competing restaurant who came regularly to study Giuseppe's techniques. Sofia was crying now, understanding finally dawning. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean. You meant every word, Giuseppe interrupted. That is what makes it so disappointing. You are young, yes, but old enough to know that respect is not determined by appearances. Old enough to understand that experience has value. Old enough to treat people with basic human dignity. David Whitmore pulled out his wallet. Mr. Russo, please, let me pay for everyone's meals tonight. It's the least I can do. Giuseppe shook his head. That is not necessary, signore. But I do have a request. Anything. Your daughter will spend the next 4 Saturdays working in my kitchen. Not as punishment, but as education. She will learn what goes into preparing authentic Italian food. She will understand the skill, the tradition, the love that transforms ingredients into art. Sofia's eyes widened. Work? Like actual work? Yes, actual work. You will peel vegetables, wash dishes, prepare ingredients. You will see what it takes to run a restaurant, and perhaps you will learn some humility. Over the next month, Sofia showed up every Saturday at 7 a.m. The first day, Giuseppe handed her a vegetable peeler and a bag of potatoes. You will peel these, every one, perfectly. This is going to take forever. Yes, and, while you work, I will tell you about the importance of proper preparation, how every element of a dish matters, how shortcuts lead to mediocrity. By the end of the first day, Sophia's hands were sore, and she'd gained new respect for the simple work that went into every meal. The second Saturday, Giuseppe taught her to make fresh pasta, explaining the precise ratios, the feel of properly kneaded dough, the patience required for excellence. Cooking is not about speed, he explained. It is about care, about respect for ingredients and techniques passed down through generations. The third Saturday, Sophia met Lucia, Giuseppe's daughter. She was now 28, healthy, working as a nurse in the hospital that had saved her life. My father gave up everything for me, Lucia told Sophia as they prepared vegetables together. His restaurant, his reputation, his wealth, and he never once complained. He says I was worth more than 3 Michelin stars. Sophia felt tears sting her eyes. I called him old and told him he didn't know how to cook. I was so horrible. He told me, but he also said you're learning, that you have potential to be better. On the fourth Saturday, Giuseppe let Sophia help prepare the carbonara that she'd rejected so rudely weeks before. She measured the pecorino, separated the eggs, watched as he showed her the precise moment to combine them with the pasta. You see, the egg cooks from the heat of the pasta alone. Too hot, it scrambles. Too cold, it stays raw. It requires perfect timing, perfect temperature. This is why we do not rush. This is why tradition matters. When the dish was complete, he plated it with the care of an artist finishing a masterpiece. Now taste it. Really taste it. Let yourself understand what authentic carbonara should be. Sophia took a bite and understood, finally, what she'd been too ignorant to appreciate before. The silky texture, the perfect balance of salt from the guanciale and cheese, the richness of the egg. It was nothing like the heavy cream-based carbonara she'd had at chain restaurants. It's incredible, she whispered. How did I not taste this before? Because you were not ready to taste it. You were too busy being right to allow yourself to be taught. That evening, Sophia helped serve during dinner service. She watched Giuseppe move through the kitchen with practiced grace, decades of mastery evident in every motion. She saw the reverence with which diners treated his food, the way people closed their eyes to savor each bite, and she understood what she'd almost destroyed with her entitled ignorance. 2 weeks after her final Saturday, Sophia returned to the restaurant with her father, but this time, she asked if she could continue helping in the kitchen. I want to learn more. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Giuseppe smiled. Then you have learned the most important lesson. Passion for craft comes from respect, and respect comes from understanding. Sophia worked at Lucia's every Saturday for the next 2 years. She learned not just cooking, but discipline, patience, humility. She learned to see the skill in what others might dismiss as simple. She learned that true mastery often wore the most humble clothing. The viral videos of her initial confrontation never fully disappeared from the internet, but they were eventually overshadowed by a new video. Sophia, now 15, giving a TED Talk at her school about humility, respect, and the danger of judging by appearances. I once told a 3 Michelin star chef that he didn't know how to cook, she told the audience. I mocked him for being old, for working in a small restaurant, for making food that didn't match my uneducated expectations. And instead of destroying me for my arrogance, he taught me. He showed me that the greatest wisdom often comes from the most unexpected sources. Giuseppe attended the talk, sitting in the back row with Lucia. When Sophia finished, she invited him to stand, introducing him properly to the audience for the first time. This is Giuseppe Russo. He's one of the greatest chefs in the world, and he's also one of the kindest, most patient teachers I've ever known. He could have humiliated me. Instead, he educated me, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to live up to the second chance he gave me. The audience gave Giuseppe a standing ovation. He accepted it with the same quiet dignity he'd shown that first night when a bratty teenager had insulted his life's work. After the talk, David Whitmore approached Giuseppe. Thank you. You changed my daughter's life. Giuseppe smiled. She changed it herself. I simply showed her the ingredients. She chose to make something beautiful from them. Years later, when Sophia graduated from culinary school at the top of her class, the first person she called was Giuseppe. I got in. The Institut Paul Bocuse in France. They accepted me. Of course they did. You have skill. But more importantly, you have humility. That is rarer and more valuable. I learned it from you. No, Sophia. You learned it from your own willingness to grow. I simply gave you the opportunity. On Sophia's last night in New York before leaving for France, she had dinner at Lucia's. Giuseppe prepared her a special meal. each course a lesson from their 2 years together. And on the final plate, alongside a perfect carbonara, was a small note. Never forget, the greatest chefs are not those who have the most stars, but those who remember why they started cooking. Feed people's souls, not just their stomachs. And always, always respect the tradition while making it your own. With love and pride, Giuseppe. Sophia folded the note carefully, placing it in her wallet where it would stay for the rest of her career. A reminder of the day she'd learned that humility was the most important ingredient of all. And in a small restaurant on a quiet New York street, Giuseppe Russo continued to cook with the same passion, the same precision, the same love that had earned him 3 Michelin stars, and the respect of everyone who truly understood what greatness looked like. It didn't always wear fancy clothes. Sometimes it wore a simple apron, and it was always, always worth recognizing.